Hello viewers and welcome back to for final math class. We are still on the topic algebra or algebraic expressions, and today we are going to be looking at factorization of algebra, how to factorize algebra. When each of the terms of an expression is divisible by a common factor, the expression may be simplified by dividing each term separately by the factor and enclosing the quotient within the brackets. The common factor being placed outside the bracket as a coefficient. This process of putting an expression in brackets is called factorization. Okay, so the simple and short of what I just read from the paper is that when you have each of a term of an expression and it is divisible by a common factor. So for instance, if you have a binomial expression, okay, and then you know binomial expression, as we explained in our previous lessons, that binomial expressions has two terms in it. So if these two terms have a common factor, say an example is 4a plus say 8b. Okay, this is a binomial expression, okay, because they are two terms separated by plus. And if they have these two terms have a common factor, meaning when you list the factors of this 4, which is 1, 2, and then what? 4. And then the factors of 8, which is 1, 2, 4, and then 8. Okay, you look through these factors, the common one, okay, which is also the highest factor of these two numbers, and if they have it and it is divisible by the two numbers, you take that one outside from this one and then you enclose the quotient. The quotient is when you take the factors out, the rest of the expression is the quotient. Okay, so with this one, when you look at this factor, you could see that 4 is a factor, 2 can also be a factor, 2 can also be a factor, but here 4 is the highest one. We look for the HCM, the highest common multiple or the highest factor of 8 and then 4. So if we consider 4 to be the highest factor and we take 4 out like this, then we enclose the rest of the expression in a bracket. So it will be into bracket. If we take 4 out of this one, or we divide this expression here by 4, what is going to be left will be what? A, because the 4 will cancel what? The 4, and it will be left with A. Then you bring your sign, which is the addition sign here. Then here too, when we divide this one 2 by 4, you realize that 4 will go into 8 2 times, so it will be left with 2. Then you bring up your what? Your variable. Okay, so when we bring the common factor of 4 and 8 out of the bracket, the rest will be A plus B, and this is what we mean by what? Factorization of algebra. Okay, another example could be 6x squared minus 10x, okay, minus 10x. Okay, this one is also a binomial because it has two terms separated by what? A negative sign, okay, or minus sign. So when you look through these two things, we have factors, two different factors, which is what? A number and then a variable. This number, there is a factor of it which you can be found if you list the factors of this 10. The same way when we look at x, we have x here and we have x here. So that particular number that we are supposed to look for, and then the x are factors in this expression. So when we take that particular factor, if I look through and I look at this 6 and then 10, which number is a factor of 6 and 10 that I can take outside? Okay, when I look through, we have factors of 6, which is 1, 3, and then what? 6. And then we have 1, 2, 3, and 6. Okay, and then when you look at the 10 too, we have 1, 2, 5, and then 10. So you could realize that 2 is a factor between 6 and 10, which is very common to both of them, and then it is the highest one among them. So I'll bring my 2 out and I'll look at the variables too. We have x here, we have x here. I'll bring the x out, then I'll open up the bracket. Okay, when I open up the bracket, you'll realize that the x over here is 2 because it is raised to the power what? 2, and I've taken 1 out. And then when I divide this 2 by this 6, it will be left with 3. Okay, so the remaining of the expression will be what? 3x. Okay, and I'll bring my sign here too. When I divide this one, the 10 by 2, I'll get 5. And then I already took the x out. So if I've taken the x out, it means there will be no variable attached to the rest of the answer for this one. So this one, if you want to verify whether your answer is correct or not, just multiply what is outside the bracket by what is inside the bracket, and then you will return to your original question, which is what 2x times 3x will give you a 6x squared, and then 2x times -5 you get what, -10x